This is a good point to document again what I'm doing here, as other than cutting these out, I actually need to wash some more of this fabric to finish this step, and I'm deciding if I'm going to get more fusible interfacing, as 2 yards apparently does a 28-inch waist. So I did 2 yards of interfacing, and this is medium weight. I would do heavy weight on the other stuff. I'm really liking this method so far, so I may just run to the fabric store and get another 2 yards of heavy weight for the denim. So here's what I've been doing. This is Taylor's chalk, and here, here, is the final piece that I didn't cut enough muslin for, so there's some in the wash for that. This, what I'm transferring is the number and the waistline. Funny thing, this was my mom's actually. I've had this for, God, 17 years now, and it's Taylor's chalk is what it's called. I have no idea if it was okay to iron this or if it's going to be permanent, but the fact is, this is on the inside. I really don't care. So that's a red piece of Taylor's chalk, just to show you. It draws relatively lightly. I'm willing to, you probably can't even see that. I'm willing to bet that that it's going to be permanent after ironing it. I know they sell stuff that would be compatible to this project. In other words, like once you even though it's had heat applied to it, it would still wash out. So if you're purchasing new and you care, then you might want to do that if you're using this method for measuring and cutting out the pieces. What I did was take these pieces that are cut exactly to the size of the duct tape form. I wonder if I can find number 3 over here. I hadn't thought of that. Here we go. I've got this pile of tape pieces. So this was the exact cut, and then I took pieces of, I folded by half and cut 2, with the irony dots in ways of each. So this was a folded piece of fusible interfacing, medium weight. You can see that there's 2 there. So before unpinning them, I write number 3 on the first piece and draw the line by marking hash mark here, by looking down at hash mark here, and then drawing the line across. The other thing that's very nice is that I found once you unpin it, you can actually pick this piece itself up and place it over this. On each of these I actually, and then trace it, you can actually see through it enough to just trace what you need. What I did, I found I had done a few of these markings wrong, but I just picked up number 6, so there's all kinds of scribble on these, whatever, it's cool. I transferred the markings mirrored onto the other side. It's interesting that in laying these out, it was very difficult to be sure which is left, which is right on the body, and I'm not sure it even matters because it's going to be difficult every time you trace it, because it's you might be taking a mirror image of it, you might be then laying it down, ironing it later. If you flip it over, it's the other side. I think I might skip the left-right marking next time, but it is very useful to have this on both sides, because now each piece I can just, that's number 6, this piece is now ironed down. I just laid it on top and traced where the line was. I then laid out all of these pieces, and I made sure that there was no less than 3 inches between every piece, so that I can do 1.5 inch extra cut around. Now I actually think I'm also going to get a special clear ruler for that, just to help me in guiding that more exactly to make these cuts. I could totally eyeball it. I don't know. I might eyeball it this first time. I mean, this really is a rough draft. So these are all ready. I laid them down, and then, because this is fusible interfacing, that basically means you can iron it and it'll stick down. It has these little rubber dots. I don't know what they are, but they melt. They might be rubber, they might be wax. I really don't know. And once they melt, they're washable and everything, and it just melts this webbing onto the fabric. So the idea for me here is that this shows the exact outline, and then all I have to do is cut the salvage, the seam edge, seam allowance onto the outside, and voila, done. You know, nothing more to worry about. So that's my aim with all of this. This line I marked on the waist, and my instinct is that this is going to have to go with the grain. And that, so then I took the line and lined it up precisely with the webbing of the fabric. Normally the marking of which way the fabric would go along. On a professional pattern piece there would be this line that says, you know, this direction for the fabric weave. But since this is perpendicular and you're always going to have a square on fabric, so I just used this and went the other way. Then gives a really good idea of like the directionality of the pieces, and that's why there's like so much more space at the tops and the bottoms. Like these two are very far apart at the bottom and much closer at the top, and that's because the waistline is actually there and it lines up with the weave of the fabric. So that's basically, I laid them out as closely as I could with still leaving that 3 inches space between the closest points on everything. Here's another example. No less than 3 inches between each. So I'm going to cut these out, but probably not until I have everything together. I'm probably then going to go and get heavy fusible interfacing, although I could just transfer this pattern then onto the back of the denim, which is you know, much heavier and wouldn't necessarily need this as a stabilizer. I'm just using this more as a convenience. So maybe I'll mix up the two different methods. It's a lot of decisions at this point because I really am I am completely ad hocing this, but see how it goes. I'm kind of excited, so yeah. Yay. That's all for now.